Today on the Real Fan Review, we're doing our Avengers Endgame prep and getting you guys ready for this Thursday. Welcome to the Real Fan Review. What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav, one of your hosts here from the Real Fan Review. Today, we're going over our Avengers Endgame prep. We're getting everyone ready to see this movie this Thursday. And I don't know about you, but fellas, are you guys ready to see this movie?
Oh, been ready. Been ready.
So ready.
Oh, man, we just want to thank everybody for coming back and listening to us. Or if it's your first time here, welcome to the Real Fan Review. We're just a couple of guys here that we get together, talk about movies, talk about the movies we love, and we just get into it big time. We just love movies, so forget it. Today, we're going to go over all the Marvel movies that led up to Avengers Endgame, and we're going to go through each individual movie, see what it kind of relates to the story that's going on right now with Endgame. And before we do that, of course, we just want to say hello to everybody on the table. To my right, we got my boy Sanj.
Hello again, everybody. It's good to be with you.
Today, we got my man Ree.
Guest
Hey,
starring.
how's it going, everybody? Yeah, guest starring, featuring, anything that sounds important. Great.
Yeah, man. My man in the chair, we got Al.
How's it going, everybody?
And then we got my bro on the sound.
Hey, what's going on?
Yes, sir. So we got all the fellas here today. And, before we get into this Avengers Endgame prep, because there's a lot of movies to go through, we'll just go through quickly through the movie news of the week that I heard and saw. If you guys saw anything, of course, we'll bring it up. So I know this week that passed, one of the things that came out that was really, really on my mind was these Endgame spoilers. I can't believe it, man. It looks like somebody somewhere, they said that the languages that they saw on the bottom of the screen was like Arabic. Or
Arabic.
Arabic.
Close enough. Close enough.
Right?
No, Arabic.
Arabic.
Thank
All
you.
right. And apparently this guy must have recorded like the last 8 minutes of the movie. He took some pictures of some important scenes and he put it out to Twitter and different online places,
So wait,
YouTube.
is the movie already out?
You know,
in
I
some
think they
parts-
screened
I
it
think
for
it
There
some
were probably
test
like screeners,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, they screened
Well,
it for a
definitely I
couple.
knew there were screeners, but like, is the U.S. opening the first opening?
Today, Monday night, is the opening night for the premiere. I think the premiere's tonight, so they're showing it to a couple of people out there in L.A. today.
Here's the big question. So you knew it leaked. Did you watch it?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
I'm not
good.
even watching this, dude. I think they've been putting out a commercial every
I'm not
day.
even going to listen to our podcast about it.
Oh man, I mean, what they were saying was the person put up 8 minutes of the ending, and then what happened from there was the freaking internet trolls out there started seeing all the stuff, and of course, tried to ruin it for everybody else. They were going to movie websites, they were going to YouTubers that do movie stuff, movie reviews, and they were putting it in the comment section. They were emailing it to people, and it was just absolutely insane. I almost went into freaking.
Did
Stealth
we
mode.
get an email from anybody?
We definitely did not.
I didn't get any emails. No.
we didn't get that email.
So I'll put a positive spin on. We're still underground.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's so scary, man, because I mean, at the same time, man, we're so close. I mean, we're talking 4 days, not even.
Yeah.
Not even. 4 days.
I don't like spoilers. And the thing is, even like the temptation of like seeing it, whatever, it robs you of the experience of going to the theater and seeing it in its totality.
Yeah,
like
what's the
going
point?
with your friends, like it robs you of that experience. So now you know.
Yeah.
So what was the point? What was the point of it
Yeah.
all?
I just don't understand why people feel like they need to do that. I mean, I get the whole, troll thing. They're doing things because they can, and they love to see people get upset and have a feeling towards it. It's just so stupid. It honestly just ruins it for a lot of people, and I don't understand why they do it.
Yeah, like if you're gonna watch yourself, don't send it out to other people to do that. That
Yeah.
it just hurts our viewership.
I'm just gonna put it out there. It's a dick move. Is exactly what it is.
Agreed.
Yeah, man. So the spoilers are out there, man. So I advise anyone that's into movies, into this Avengers Endgame thing, try to avoid, certain websites. Try to avoid being too much on the
Turn off
social
all your
media.
accounts.
Turn off all your accounts.
Go underground.
Yeah.
Listen to us.
You know why? It sounds so crazy and to overdo it, but we're just so close. I mean, look, like I said, we're a little less than 4 days away from seeing it. We got the 6 o'clock showing on Thursday. I'm too close, man. I'm not even gonna bother. After today, I'm not doing YouTube. I'm done. YouTube's done. Instagram's done. I'll put up stuff on Instagram.
I still gotta
for us,
upload this episode here. After that, I'm done.
Yeah, man.
I to me the most exciting part about all this, we'll get through tonight, and tonight's gonna be a great episode of our podcast.
Oh yeah.
But the next time we do this, we will be talking about Endgame.
Yes.
We will have seen Endgame, and we will have all seen it together.
Yeah,
That's the best
awesome part, man. Yeah, man, seeing these movies together is part of it, man. Now, from what I'm hearing also, because I'm not looking for it, Marvel's spending about $200 million on marketing. They've made a different clip just about every other day. Are you guys watching these clips?
No. I stopped watching the clips. Even like, how much of the movie you gonna give me? Like, come on, stop.
And it's funny because they're adding like maybe 4 seconds, 3 seconds extra, and I'm like, I just don't want to see anything.
How much are those ad dollars really buying? Like, if people are going, this is gonna be a huge blockbuster. It's like spending the extra money, it kind of seems like, and putting all these clips out there is just.
Well,
I don't know.
I think really what the clips are doing, since people are watching it, it's little clips for sites like YouTube and social media sites to put up so that they can make money off of it as well. Because if sites like YouTube, Facebook, all those things make their money off of the marketing because they don't charge anybody for it. So people, whatever content is on there, people are gonna go, and then people get paid off of clicks. So the more they put out, the more their sponsors and everything are gonna make over it. So it's just good business for them and to help their sponsors out because they're gonna make a ton of money off it. And every clip they put out, 100 million, 200 million people are going to look at that, and then that's going to be advertising dollars. And so they're doing it to sell stuff that really they know we're going to watch no matter what.
I just want it to be out. I just
Right?
want to watch it.
I want to be here. But do you guys even find it necessary for them to put so many different TV spots out there? I mean,
it's even harder. Like, even if you don't watch TV, if you don't go on YouTube, if you use anything like Hulu or watch your TV through the internet, their ad commercials are all Endgame. Yeah. So, like, I watch Hulu all the time, because I can never watch anything on time. Yeah. So I'm watching Hulu, and, like, one of the commercials pops up the other day, goes, "We have a plan." And then I'm like, no. I just start screaming. Like, I don't want to hear it.
No plan. You got no plan.
I don't need to hear your plan. I want to hear it on Thursday.
Yeah, man. Al, you been watching all these spots, man, or
Nah, I'm staying away from. I even stay away from my YouTube stream for the most part. Like, I try to type in a Google search for exactly what I'm looking for. This way, I don't have to bring up my stream. Yeah, this way I don't bring up my stream because I know, based on what I was watching in the past, everything is going to be Endgame.
I mean, you would have thought by now, like, when you got married, I thought you'd have learned how to, go incognito and delete your web history for obvious reasons. Because your wife don't play that, right?
She knows everything I do. She knows everything.
So, I don't know if what I was alluding to. Google is actually setting you up to watch and spoil it for you. So you put in like 4 discount tires. Like, did you mean
so like
Avengers Endgame?
You mean Captain America dies in Endgame?
The only thing that's helping me out at this point is.
Did you mean Thanos wins 14 million times?
My daughter's uses my YouTube account.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff is also like Ryan's toy review and stuff like that.
Nah, son,
so.
my kids don't use my YouTube account. I do not let my kids use my YouTube account.
Oh my god! You know what's funny? You guys are saying all these like little spoiler things, right? I gotta tell you guys something funny. So at my job, I tell people, we got the podcast going and everything. So this girl at my job, she comes up to me, she goes, "Javier, I heard your podcast is really, really good." And I'm like, she still wants to say something. I'm like, and she goes, "I just think you guys use spoiler alert wrong." She's like, "You guys say the spoiler and then go, oh, spoiler alert." I'm like, "I think that's what we do it for comedic effect." She goes, "But then aren't you spoiling it?" I'm like, for the movies we do it, they're pretty old movies.
I want to know, like, you're doing a weird accent for this woman. Like, it sounds like she might be European or she might be like East Asian or something like that.
I'm just trying to not sound like me.
That's his default
I'm like,
accent.
what is this accent that you're doing?
If
Like,
I do a girl voice, I'm like, hey, she said that. You know, it's funny.
well, I mean, some of the girls you've dated though, like have had. No, I'm just
Let's hope she
man.
doesn't listen to this podcast episode.
She's
gonna
definitely
spoil all the Marvel
listening.
movies.
She's definitely listening.
He's throwing everyone under the bus.
Hey, look, I said no names.
Al's
no
incognito
nothing.
window.
You gotta
Al's
work with her.
ex-girlfriends.
My kids can't see like what I do on the internet. You know?
Oh man, so let's see what else we got in the news for this week. Kevin Feige said something that was caught me off guard there, which was that Avengers Endgame doesn't end phase 3.
No,
Yeah, he's
Spider-Man
Wait,
does.
what?
for him, Far From Home for
He's
Spider-Man.
saying Spider-Man
is-
Far From Home ends phase 3.
Yeah.
So is it like
What?
I mean, that's what they did with Ant-Man.
right? That's what I was thinking. Like Ant-Man was the end of phase 2, which was weird because you had Age of
Yeah,
Ultron,
but
and then all
the
of a sudden,
build up. Okay, all right.
yeah,
All right, okay.
They,
all right.
they had a reason. It was like, you have like this big dramatic piece, and so we're gonna give you something light to kind of have the epilogue of the phase with. I think that's what they were.
It was
going for.
dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a palate cleanse? Is that what they're trying to do?
Right.
It's like, let's
Why?
say that you're ready for the next one.
I'd say it was more dessert because
More
Ant-Man,
dessert.
like I liked Ant-Man a lot. It was fun. But it added to the story. You
Yeah.
know, introduced me to a character that I really wasn't that well up on.
exactly, yeah.
You know, and then like I'm like, hey, this character is awesome.
Yeah, and you kind of knew they was going to play a role in the next few movies, and we'll get into how Ant-Man, what we think is going to happen with Ant-Man in the next movie here. The next things that I saw for this movie, this new week of movies there, I saw some trailers there for Child's Play, the horror remake of the old Child's Play with Chucky dolls and everything. I know Brandon's still terrified of Chucky.
Very.
You can't be scared of this Chucky. Then.
No.
He looks like a Funko Pop. Like this guy. That's why they don't really show you his face in any of the trailers. It's like, hey, we don't want you.
This guy's all CGI.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
It's not-
So,
that's cool.
so apparently this Chucky is like a robotic doll.
It's
or
supposed
like
to be
what-
AI now.
It's supposed to be AI or whatever.
It's insane, man. I mean, I saw the Child's Play thing, and I'm like, wow, they're going AI on it, and he's controlling the temperature in the room. So,
That's how they can kill you now. I made it hot.
and then they had the Hobbs and Shaw trailer that went just absolutely
That-
bonkers.
Is crazy.
I thought it was crazy. I was just not happy that I'm pretty sure I saw the entire third act of
With
the
the
movie.
2 trailers that I've seen, I'm pretty sure we saw
We've seen
the
them.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
I
seen,
think I've seen
we've
the
seen
whole
that
movie.
movie. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
insane.
We've seen it.
I didn't have to pay for
I'm
it
gonna still
either.
go see it.
Of course.
I'm still go see it.
We're Fast and Furious fans, so of course we're gonna go see it and then race our cars afterwards. Race our automatics.
our automatic family vehicles, our sensible family vehicles.
Fucking racing a minivan.
No, none of us here
have
drive a
minivans.
minivan.
Putting
I'm
it out
putting that
there.
out there right now. None of us
have
drive
minivans.
minivans. I'm sorry, dads out there, guys out there that drive minivans. I'm sorry.
They're cool
I
for
can't-
you.
They're cool for you. More power to you.
Then the last trailer we had that came out I saw was the last trailer for Dark Phoenix. Now the last trailer for Dark Phoenix actually made the movie look really good compared to everything that we're all hearing, which is that Dark Phoenix is not going to be good. It's a hot mess and all these things. But that last trailer actually sold it for me. I think I'm still going to go check it out. Have to. It's the last Fox Marvel movie product there. What'd you guys think of that trailer? Anybody see it or anybody looked at it?
I saw it. I am excited to see it. My hopes are that it doesn't disappoint.
Right.
You know, being that it is the last X-Men movie for basically Fox. I mean, I don't know if New Mutants is still a thing that's happening or not. You
I
know,
hope
they
they
keep
do that.
saying.
I really
that-
hope they do that.
You know, I'm hoping they do it. They keep saying, "Oh no, it's happening." You know, I think they talked to Maisie Williams and she was like, "I don't know." Like we talked about it a long time ago and we haven't heard anything since. So my hopes are they're still doing it. I don't know if it's gonna fit anymore by the time it's released.
Can you inform us
But-
on New Mutants for the people who don't know? Because I am not that familiar with the New Mutants.
That was they were the group that became X-Force.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. So,
Got
but they're the movie that they were pitching. I mean, from the first trailer and only trailer they released was like a horror based movie with.
Was it like
mutants.
teenagers or?
Yeah, it was all like
teenage horror movie.
teenagers, but it was like
But then
X-Men.
even if they never bring in the X-Men into the MCU or whatever, I feel that there's enough there, and we've talked about this too, and I don't think we've ever really approached it from this way, where they could go off and do a whole universe by themselves.
That's what I was kind of hoping they would do when they get the Fox properties there from Marvel, because I can't see all of that now mixed in with the MCU. It just sounds like a lot.
They've done it in such a way where it has such a different feel, even though the MCU, all the characters and cast that comes together, they all have their movies all have a very individual feel to them, but it still feels like it's in the same universe, and that just feels like it's in a whole different universe.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear what they're gonna do. You know, they're not giving out any kind of information about this Fox deal.
They're like, oh yeah, we really like that.
They
you know,
haven't
we want to
mentioned
do that.
anything
at some
about
point.
Fantastic Four, nothing about New Mutants, nothing about X-Men, nothing. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and start up this catch up here, and we'll go one by one down the movies. You know, you guys let me know.
You got them in order?
I got them in order from when they came out, and we're gonna start off with that first Iron Man, the Iron Man movie that's led to everything. I mean, Sanj, what's your take on that first Iron Man? What do you think that happened in that movie that's gonna just help us with Endgame there?
I think the backstory with Tony Stark, and we're gonna see his character development and his character arc come, I think, to I don't want to say an end, but it's gonna come to its conclusion of what they were trying to do with his character.
Yeah.
When we were introduced to Tony Stark, he was a capitalist warmonger, you know, just making money off of war. He didn't care who bought. He was just selling bombs and missiles and newer and better ways to kill people. And then he transitioned through his own journey, through his own story, to be a superhero.
Yeah.
Not so reluctantly, though. Like, you know, a lot of, like, Captain America always seems like reluctant, and like some of the best superheroes are always somewhat reluctant to be a hero. He's like, nope, I'm Iron Man. Yep, I'm not hiding it. I'm Iron Man. I save the world every once in a while, you know. And then I have this, you know, this hot chick over here that I hang out with as well and whatnot.
But I remember the reasoning. I think it was so easy for Tony is because he realized he was the problem. You know, because remember when he first took the suit and he went, I forget exactly where, but he went, you know, west to the Middle East, and he realized that the missiles and the weapons they were using were from him. He sold them to these people,
right?
And I guess he said he realized he was the problem.
So
and I think that made
his
him,
story arc is about atoning.
Yeah, I feel like that's really what it was, you know. So I think it was so easy for him to say, "Yeah, I'm a superhero," because he realized he was part of the problem. He gave these terrorists and all these people his weaponry. He gave them his armory.
Do you feel that Tony, like based on this story, that Tony Stark has done enough to atone?
I would say 10 times over. You know, he atoned himself in Avengers, the first one. You know, by making that sacrifice.
He also brought Ultron into
he called those movies.
He by trying to atone, he also made some things worse.
I feel like it's a constant thing for him, like seeing there's a problem and trying, you know, being scientific, being so smart. You know, one of his superpowers is that he's so smart, just like Batman. And it was just kind of one of those things where I'm atoning, you know, but I'm gonna make these big mistakes because I try to fix these problems before they happen, you know. And then it's just like, okay, I gotta fix this problem again. I gotta atone for that. So I think he's always atoning, and I think this movie's gonna end with him saying, "I'm good."
Yeah, Reed, what'd you get out from that first Iron Man? I mean, that's the movie I think me and you and Brandon saw together. Did you go with us to see that?
I did.
All right, yeah, because we saw Speed Racers the same day. That was a mistake.
Speed Racer was terrible. Iron Man, on the other hand, was awesome.
Yeah.
And honestly, Iron Man, out of all the Marvel characters, I never thought Iron Man was going to be something substantial enough that we were going to be having these types of conversations.
Oh yeah.
Iron Man is.
They picked the right actor.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert Downey Jr. is going to be sad to see him go. Is this the end of his contract, or is he signed on for anything else?
Dude, I don't really understand what's really going on with the contracts, because either they're not telling people what's really going on with the contracts, or it's for real that a lot of their contracts are up. All of them. Yeah. You know, I know Al knows a lot about the contracts.
Chris Evans is definitely up.
Yeah.
And so is Robert Downey Jr. It's like them and
Thor
Chris
too,
Thor.
right?
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth.
But Chris Hemsworth is also on record as saying, "I will play Thor until they don't want me to play Thor
But
anymore."
Robert
So he's
Downey
down.
Jr.
He's
is
in.
also quiet about whether he's coming back or not. The only one who's kind of like let it be known, okay, I'm done, is Chris Evans.
Right.
Like when they finished rapping, he said that today was my last day. It was an honor. I forgot exactly how he, but it was like basically goodbye.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and it was so bad that the Russo brothers had to come out saying Cap's not done.
Yeah.
Cap's not done. We still got there's still story for Cap to do.
I think what they're hinting at is like, you know, they're main stories are done, but I think they'd be open to coming back. Like Chris Hemsworth, he said to him, he put it out. He's like, I need time with my family. Yeah. He was like, I've been doing this nonstop. I've been making other movies. He goes, I need to step away to be with my, I think, daughters, right? Yeah. I have to step away and give that time to my daughters because they grew up without me a lot. So I think them being main characters for a lot of this is done. But I think, the cameos and the showing up here like as big surprises for us during an Avengers movie or during anyone's movie is still open to happen.
Yeah. Everybody always talks about Robert Downey Jr. being like a perfect casting, but what people forget in that movie, Nick Fury was in it. That's a perfect casting too. I mean, they actually based the comic book character off of Samuel L. Jackson.
I mean, the second they made the Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, that's when Nick Fury started becoming black in the comics.
Yeah,
he was a white guy. He was an old white guy in the comics. So it was at that point when they started making the Avenger cartoon movies.
Don't you dare talk ill of David Hasselhoff.
No one.
That's Michael Knight right there, son.
No one talks ill of the Knight Rider.
Don't you dare hassle the Hoff.
But it was making in those movies when they started making the cartoon movies, the Ultimate Avenger cartoon movies, was when Nick Fury showed up as a black guy. Yeah. So I think he really defined what that role was going to be.
Yeah. Listen, he made me believe into the Avengers after that movie. I was like, oh, wait a minute. They're actually making more? All right. The second movie that came out was Incredible Hulk. Now, on that Incredible Hulk there, was that a reboot? Was it connected to the Ang Lee Hulk? Because in the beginning of the movie, they didn't show that story of how he became Hulk.
I thought they did.
No, they just they told it in like
it was supposed to be the continuation of the one with Eric Bana.
Right, the Ang Lee Hulk, right?
Yeah,
because where he started the movie.
Yeah, but
he started in South America.
They brought it in with Ed Norton instead. So yeah, it's supposed to have been a continuation of that one.
You know what's funny? With my DVD collection of Marvel movies, I still put Ang Lee's Hulk first before Iron Man. Because I'm like, I think it's still part of it. Because they don't tell that story. They just jump into that he's already the man that turns into the Hulk. He's trying to hide from everyone after he ran away.
Yeah, he's talking to some other scientists trying to come up with a cure and everything. Yeah.
Now, do you guys think, do you think that anything that happened in that movie, because in that movie we met Thunderbolt Ross for the first time in that movie. We also got, what was the bad guy? Was Abomination? Abomination. And we also had the scientist, Mr. Blue, that ended up being, quote unquote, the leader.
Yeah.
You think any chance we see those guys?
Nope. I think they're gone. I don't think the Incredible Hulk gets a standalone movie again. I might be going out on a limb. It's for character development purposes. Like, no one really wants to see not Bruce Banner. Everybody wants to see the Hulk, and when you get the Hulk, you get bored. You can't do 2 hours of a guy hulked out. Yeah, you can't do 2 hours of Smash. So it just doesn't really work well. The only one that I thought would work well, and they kind of alluded to it, and I'm jumping forward in the movies, is what was the Avengers, Thor Ragnarok, where they kind of got into like the whole Planet Hulk thing, and that's the only one where Hulk is like fully sentient and like has a conscience, is in touch with Bruce Banner, and then like has a developed storyline. Yeah. He's not fighting all the time once he gets liberated. So it's like that is the only storyline that I can really see them developing in a Hulk movie, but it didn't look like Thor Ragnarok was leading anywhere. So I would say that Incredible Hulk movie that we saw with the Ed Norton one, which I liked out of all of they weren't all great, but that one was pretty good.
That's all right.
That was all right.
It's not that bad. When I rewatched it, it was pretty.
It was all right. It was entertaining, but I don't see it going anywhere further than that.
Al, you think anything coming out of that Incredible Hulk? No.
No, I was actually going to say I agree. I don't think so. They've already done whatever arc they can do for the Hulk. They've done it.
They've done it right now.
Like in the Avengers movie, they already like in the movie, the first Hulk movie, the whole issue was him controlling it, and then in the Avengers movie, he's controlling it. Mm-hmm. So now if you make another movie, unless you're going, Planet Hulk, or if you go Professor Hulk, or whatever, all these other versions where he and Bruce Banner can operate at the same time, there's no point in doing a Hulk movie.
It's hard
because the conflict of the Hulk you've already answered,
right?
Like him
and you can only do that so much. I feel like he's only really working in his ensemble stuff, because if you've seen the development of the Hulk from Avengers to where he is now, he was really ape-like in Avengers.
Yeah.
You know, where he was walking like this on his hands, you know, kind of moving himself through his arms, grunting a lot. And then as we see him more, he's being more sentient to the point where we got to Thor Ragnarok.
He's talking.
And he's talking.
Yeah.
You know? And then in Infinity War, he's making decisions. I don't want to come out. You know, I'm not coming out. You know, so I feel like we've fully seen the development of the Hulk.
One thing I can say, though, now that Fox has him, there are some Wolverine Hulk storylines where you have two characters and you have a fully developed Wolverine who has a convoluted backstory that you can go in a bunch of different ways with that, and then have Incredible Hulk pay a co-star to Wolverine in one of these movies, something like that, and I can see that happening. I don't know if they're gonna move him over to that mutant side and have them do stuff with the X-Men. I mean, that's kind of hard to see right now because you said they feel like so separate, but that could be something that we might be able to see
down the road.
But like an Incredible Hulk by himself, like just him doing something.
Well, we'll see what happens in Phase 4 then with that. Let's see here. The next movie that came up for the MCU there was Iron Man 2, which introduced War Machine and Black Widow to the MCU.
I think Brandon is best qualified to talk about Iron Man 2.
Well, I mean, I hate Iron Man 3, but Iron Man 2 I thought was entertaining. I didn't feel like it led a lot of story. I mean, the villain wasn't compelling. You know, truthfully, the villain wasn't that compelling.
That was Whiplash, right?
Whiplash. Yeah. And I thought he was going to be kind of a halfway movie villain, you know, and then kind of just to lead up to a bigger villain at the end. And then it turned into, well, Whiplash is going to have his own little Iron Man suit-ish. And I'm just like, oh, well, I didn't need that. You know, the story wasn't full.
It was very convoluted because they were trying to set up the Avengers kind of thing.
Yeah. So. But the introduction of Black Widow, you know, the introduction, I think Phil Coulson made his debut there too.
Right, that's right. Coulson,
you know, so I think that whole let's talk about S.H.I.E.L.D. thing was really cool because it showed me that there was going to be more.
Right.
You know, what am I getting out of S.H.I.E.L.D.? You know, but the villain part of the story didn't work for me.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, listen, when I rewatched all these movies in the last 2 months, Iron Man 2 was still good. I mean, it's funny because when I see people's rankings for Iron Man 2, they usually keep it in the bottom half of the MCU movies. And I could see why, because like I said, there was a lot of stuff going on in the movie that kept kind of like, it wasn't like a straightforward, good, just story. It was like they were trying to do too much.
What they did with Iron Man was good.
Right.
You know, his development there of him becoming, well, I'm Iron Man, I'm still cocky, I'm still this. But, you know, and it's just like, well, Iron Man's always going to be cocky, but, like, how does he become a person? Yeah. He's like, you know, how does he become a hero? Right. Because the story opened up with, I'm Iron Man. What are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do about it? You going to come mess with me? You know, he wasn't a good guy. Yeah. And then the Iron Man 2 kind of developed him more as a person. Like, I'm here to help. You know, I'm here to be this hero. I'm here to be this good guy.
Right.
You know.
All right. The next movie after that, we ended up going into Thor. That was the introduction to Thor, Loki, Hawkeye, Heimdall, Odin. And let's see who else was in that movie there for Thor. Oh, and Professor Selvig. Mm-hmm. Now, Al, I think you said that you liked that movie, Thor.
Thor, yeah.
You enjoyed that one.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of like the whole movie thing, and how do you think that movie would probably relate to Endgame?
It'll be interesting because if he does leave the show or they go in another direction where now Thor is not a major character in the whole storyline, it'll be interesting because he's always had oh God, what's the name of the place where he was from? Asgard. Mm-hmm. It's no longer. So it gives him a story of now he's got to rebuild Asgard and everything. So, but showing him come from that arrogant child, like almost like a person of entitlement.
Yeah, definitely.
Like nothing could hurt him. He was he was Thor. He could do anything. Like. He almost caused, a couple of his guys to get killed when they went to that other world to fight the people, and
when they fought the Frost Giants.
Yeah. So
Jotunheim.
Yeah. So to see his also, I mean, granted, it wasn't like the same as Tony, but it was that same arrogance is going to get me in trouble. To now, he's more level. I won't say completely level-headed, but. He's not as reckless anymore.
He's more responsible.
Yeah, he doesn't just run into the fight anymore.
Because Hulk checked him.
That is still the funniest scene in any movie.
I think it was really his growth to becoming the true king
leader,
of Asgard. You know,
Yeah.
taking over his father's power, because he always had his father. You know, until as of late, you know, he always had his father. He knew there was something to lean back on. He could be that prince, you know, that foolish prince. But now he's like, I'm the leader of my people.
Yeah.
You know, I have responsibility over Asgardian people. You know, he said Asgard is wherever the people are.
Right.
He's like, you know, I have responsibility over these people. I think with this movie, you know, with the start of Infinity War was half of the Asgardians were taken out. You know, as part of Thanos' whole thing, take out half of them. So, you know, now he has only X amount of people left of Asgard. I think this movie's going to come full circle and say, you know, I need to lead you to a new home, and I'm going to stay as your leader. I think that's his exit.
That's his exit. Yeah.
I'm going to take you
good,
to a new
actually.
realm, and I'm going to be your leader.
Ooh, look at B carrying the
Yeah.
show tonight, man. Like, I am loving this. I'll just sit back and watch this show tonight.
And then I say something dumb.
No, man. It's
No,
all
man,
good.
you're carrying it.
Arabic. Okay? We'll just drop it back to the first few minutes of this podcast. All right? Don't worry
I
about
had forgotten about that.
that.
I don't want to ever know that again.
No. Inside joke. So that leads us to the next movie before the big Avengers team up. Sanj, one of your favorite movies that you said when we first talked about all these movies, Captain America: The First Avenger.
Captain America: The First
Intro
Avenger.
to Cap, Red Skull, and the Tesseract with the Space Stone.
I just love the movie. I loved the casting of Captain America, and it set his story up very well.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it went back to the war, you
Right.
know, and it went back in time, you know, and set Captain America in his setting. I like that they didn't change his story to update the story to say, well, because there's plenty of war going on now, plenty of war in our
Right, they could
time.
have made him a
Well,
soldier right now.
Yeah, exactly. So that
Absolutely,
could have been something that they put in our context, right?
Yeah.
But I like that they didn't, and that they stayed true to that story, and it still worked. And then he's stuck in the ice for all those years, and the movie's just done well. So you know that he's gonna get stuck in the ice, but at the end, you when he's piloting the plane, even though you see the realization come over him that, like, he thought he was heading home and everything, and then he realized, like,
He's going for that last dance.
yeah, he's going for that last dance, and
Oh.
you know, they tug at you with stuff like that. Just movie was very well done, and it set up, you know, him being in the ice. It set up, and then the Tesseract disappears. Where'd it go?
Yeah.
Right.
Where'd it go? Right?
And it saves Chris Evans' Marvel career because the last movie he had before that was
Fantastic.
Fantastic Four. So he 180 for him for sure. No, Captain America was a good movie, and the same. The Tesseract was. I guess I never thought that the Tesseract. I had no idea what the Tesseract was. I don't remember. B, you might be able to tell me about references in the comic books to the Tesseract.
I mean, to be honest, they use the terminology in the comic books as a Tesseract, and it didn't really become the Tesseract until after the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't really use that as a theme,
Right, because
until
no
people
one knew
what
that
it
the
was.
Space
Yeah.
Stone was in
You know,
there.
no one
Nobody-
knew that the Space Stone could also be this cosmic cube, as they called it in the comics a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and then it was like, then you had to kind of think about it. Like, I've heard the term cosmic cube in the comics. Were they two separate things? And, you know, you have to say, was it yes or no? And then you was like, oh no, but like in this comic, yeah, they had it, but it was the cosmic cube, and it called the Tesseract and used it. Oh, but here Thanos has the Space Stone. It's like, so what was it? Was it two things? Was it one? So they didn't really make it clear, but it wasn't until after Captain America
Right.
that there was this Tesseract that was defiantly. Defiantly? Did I use that right? No, I did not use that. That was. I'm gonna say definitely. That was definitely used as an item.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, when I watched that movie for the first Cap there, they were using the Tesseract pretty much as just energy. They were using it to put into the weapons for Hydra. And you never saw that the Space Stone thing come in until Red Skull held it in his hand, and you saw the beam sending him to somewhere.
Yeah. And they
Man.
used that theme more in Avengers, where you saw the Space Stone, well, the Tesseract, open up the portal. You know, it was also used as an energy source in the Avengers as well. But I guess we're getting to that in a second.
Yeah, we had no idea what this thing was going to
Yeah.
be, which is actually it did. Loki put it in his.
The Mind Stone was in the scepter.
Oh, that Mind Stone was in a scepter.
Mind
Sorry.
Stone was in the scepter.
Okay, so I got that mixed up then. Thanks
Which
for
was,
correcting me.
I mean, we're gonna talk about Avengers next. That's the next one.
that's
Okay,
the
next
one.
I'll hold that. I'll hold
All
that.
right, let's go. Let's move on. Then I'm done.
So
Unless
the next
someone else
one-
has something to say about Captain America.
Yeah, because I was gonna say for Al, for the Avengers, that's the one that introed us to the Mind Stone, in Loki's scepters there, the Chitauri, and you know how the first time all the Avengers came together. And I know it's one of your favorite movies. You said it's the classic. It's the one that set everything up.
Yeah, just because it was, since it didn't have to set anything up, it just went right from the beginning. The beginning of the movie starts off with Loki coming in and stealing the Tesseract and everything, and just going straight from there. There was no pause. Everything just went straight.
That opening scene was crazy.
Yeah. So
that was a great way to start that movie right there.
It just lets you know, okay, that's it.
Were there any characters introduced in that movie that we hadn't
Maria
seen?
Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, but they've never really given her any kind of history. All we know of her to right now is she's Fury's assistant. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
They've never really spent any time, and they haven't had to. But
now, what do you guys think? You think we're going to see the Chitauri again?
No, I think that was like a one thing. I mean,
no,
Because that's his
well,
soldiers.
if it's true that they're going to do a flashback, because some of the rumors that I unfortunately was able to hear was they're redoing the New York scene.
Right? Yeah, there was like a picture that came out like a long time ago showing them, and it looks like what looked like
Cap
the New
is
York.
in that old, really shiny,
Right.
colorful suit. So they're saying that they may be redoing that battle.
When
So
I
if that's the
rewatched
case.
Infinity War, I don't know if you guys saw Infinity War recently. When they're showing Gamora's planet being taken over, what's flying all around is that big dinosaur monster thing.
but they had new bad guy aliens.
Well, they
in
had
Infinity
those.
War.
What were those guys called? The ones with the forearms.
I forgot what they were called, but
Yeah.
they were there all over Infinity War. So I feel like those are going to be, unless they bring the Chitauri as well with them.
Well, I mean, they're part of Thanos' team because
Army.
he's the
Yeah.
one that gave Loki the Chitauri to go in to
Yeah.
attack New York at that time.
You forget that Thanos made little appeares here.
That was his first appearance in that movie.
Avengers,
And that was
right?
the first movie that showed, without actually saying it, the power of Infinity Stones. That in order to kind of defeat an Infinity Stone, to the lack of words, is to use another Infinity Stone. You know, because in order to turn off the Tesseract, you had to use the Mind Stone. You jammed Loki's scepter into the beam. You know, turn off, and that was the safety switch. You know.
Yeah, and we didn't know it was the Mind Stone in
We
there,
had
right?
no idea
Not
until
until
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron that was what was inside of there. Yeah, I mean, listen, Avengers is one of the best ones out there. One of the best movies.
That
for
circle
MCU.
pan of the group. That
Pan.
that made the whole
Yes.
thing. You saw it in the trailers, you saw it in the
Yes.
commercials, but like it wasn't real until you saw it. You're like,
Yeah,
this is
man.
it. We're here. This
One,
is it.
one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when the team's falling apart, and Captain America is saying to Tony Stark, "Put on the suit. Put on the suit. You got mouth? Put on the suit." That I loved it.
Yeah, well, listen, that's the part that's kind of led us to Civil War. But before we get there, the next one after Avengers is Brandon's worst movie.
I think it's. I think we still all agree that it's everyone's worst movie.
Iron Man 3.
All right, Iron Man 3 happened. Nothing. It added nothing to the story. Let's move on.
Dude, you want to see something funny? On my chart here for the movies, Iron Man 3, and then I usually have notes. There's no notes for Iron Man 3. I watched it, and I'm trying to think, like, what out of
But
it
even
came
like the
out of
villain
it.
was a fake Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a
Mandarin.
real villain.
And that was the worst part. Like I love the Extremist
here we go.
storyline. You know, the Extremist was one of the coolest
I got him
storylines in
started.
the comics.
Hot take coming.
because like it gave Tony that Extremist suit. You know, it was just like I can take these nano cells and literally have my suit come out of me. Like, you know, it was a really cool storyline that they made. And when they were talking about Extremists in this movie, I'm like, oh, that's sick, because that comic was really like recent.
Yeah.
You know, compared to the movie. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then they're like, oh, we have the Mandarin too. I'm like, Extremists and the Mandarin. I'm like, this is gonna be legit. And then it was just like, we bomb Extremists. We bombed the Mandarin. Tony Stark wasn't in the Iron Man suit for literally 75% of the movie. You know, it's just like, what did I watch?
Hate.
So like the only development you had in the movie was the end of the movie when it was just like Pepper Potts can be a source of, not just a supporting character, but she can be someone strong. She's got strength. She took the extremist virus.
Yeah.
And she basically beat up the bad guy.
She's the one that ended it.
Yeah. And then Tony Stark he finally mustered up the courage to have the shrapnel removed from his heart.
Yeah.
And that was literally it. That was the whole point of Iron Man 3 was Tony building confidence in himself.
Yeah.
And not just as Iron Man.
But also giving Pepper Potts that power, right? And then they never came back to it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say. Like, Al, if I'm right, did they retcon every single thing on there? Like, Tony still has this thing in the heart.
She got cured of the extremists at the end of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
But they literally they went into the next movie, Age of Ultron, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh yeah, I don't need it anymore, but it's a great source of power.
Well, no, yeah, he's just
I like the way it looks in the
It's wearing the nano. No, and it's just holding the nano suit.
Well, that's in Infinity War, but Age of Ultron was first, and it was just like, oh, he's back.
Like it's still there. Like,
that's true.
It's like, oh, I modified it to give me more power, and it was
you
don't need it. Your heart's good.
In Iron Man 3, the coolest part of that movie was all the Iron Suits. What was it? The Iron Legion? They called
Legion.
it. Yeah, that was cool. And then he exploded all of them.
It was just, I think
and then built Ultron.
Yeah.
I think what was the hardest part for me was I got more upset that they were just like, oh no, there's like an actual Mandarin somewhere else. The 10 Rings is still a legit group, just not here.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but this was your spot to put him.
Yeah.
Like, I can deal with the whole Iron Man not being in the Iron Man suit thing. Like, whatever. If that's your way of saying Tony Stark needs to build confidence in himself, and then he takes on the Mandarin because, he doesn't need to rely on the suit. He can rely on himself and his wit to get
Iron
himself
Man,
through that.
not the suit.
Like, he can get himself through that. Like, it's the reverse Batman kind of mythos there.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can still be the man of science versus magic.
Gotcha.
And it's like, you took that whole thing away. And I was like... and then you're like, don't worry, guys. If you're really upset about this movie, there's still a Mandarin. It's like...
So why'd you do that?
You want to make Brandon really upset? You guys remember Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
And the guy who pops out the side and goes, Toasty! Like, you do that with the Mandarin somewhere in Endgame. It's like, hey, he still exists. He's real. You may never see him, but he's here.
Like Thanos was like, I only had trouble with one group, the 10 Rings. Like, it's like, ah!
Brandon's going to get up and walk out. Oh, man.
Long Island man arrested. Throw soda can through screen at movie.
Movie ruined.
You've ruined it.
Oh,
Ruined.
So after Brandon's abomination, Iron Man 3.
Wait, but before we
Go for it.
how much of that movie did Tony Stark spend like asking for a sandwich?
Too much.
Like what? Where's my sandwich?
Yeah, the movie was a little off, man. Like I said, I saw it again and it wasn't as bad as I remembered it being, but it definitely didn't really feel like part of the MCU. It felt like something just different, like almost like a side story to all of it.
It's always worse when you see it and you paid $25. It's always better when you go home and then you watch it on your DVD or Blu-ray. Stream it.
Hate it to yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
It's on Netflix now.
This brings us over to the next Marvel movie that was not also cheered when it came out. Was Thor 2. And I have to say, for Thor 2, Dark World, I remember seeing actually with my wife and Brandon, and we actually left the theater. We enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was so bad that
better than Thor 1.
It was better than Thor 1 to me. Yeah, definitely.
Is that the floor? Thor 1? Which movie is the floor? The way you said it, I don't know if I got to read for you. Like, it was better than Thor 1.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, I would put Thor 1 right there.
Okay.
Because it was a good movie. It just... the story was like, let's talk about this would-be prince, and it was
so
just
Thor 1 worse than Iron Man 3?
No.
I just wondered. The way you said it.
No, there's no ranking for Iron Man 3. It doesn't exist.
Okay, gotcha.
It doesn't exist.
It's in the bin with Rocky 5, Star Trek 5.
Oh, man.
Godfather 3.
So in that Thor right there, they introduced the Reality Stone, the Aether, or the Ether, what do they call it?
Ether.
Listen, that still confuses me, that movie, because I didn't get what the Ether really was or what the Reality Stone was doing, because it didn't do anything.
It didn't do any of reality-altering stuff other than dropping the things out into different dimensions. But is that really changing reality, or is that changing gravity?
Right. I didn't...
Allowing something to pass to a different dimension and a realm, is that really altering reality?
But passing
so
to
much?
a dimension, wasn't that more of the space stone?
Yeah. And
Not
that's
really.
why when they did the whole, that we're going to call this the Reality Stone, was like, but it just moved things through different dimensions. Like the stuff was still real.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't fake. Like that truck that was floating was a real truck.
Right. That's why I didn't really understand that one.
Yeah.
So is the reality stone changes the interpretation of reality? Is that what it's supposed to do? Right? Not really like make. Okay.
Did you enjoy Thor 2, son?
I did enjoy Thor 2. What I enjoyed about the movie was the fact that Loki and Thor finally teamed up. Like up until that point, it felt like Loki was more of like a comic relief or like a foil for Thor or something like that. And at that point, it went deeper into their relationship as brothers. Like Thor's always getting on Loki's case, and Loki's always kind of like, you know, even though he's not a middle child, he kind of acts like a middle child.
Yeah.
But then you kind of go deeper into their relationship as brothers and realize that they do actually have genuine affection for one another. It's just that Loki's had a much harder go of it, you know, like finding out that he's actually, you know, an ice giant, you know, and that, you know, who he thought was his parents is not his parents, and dealing with all of that. And I felt like they did a good job with that. For me, it always comes back to the story. You know, the special effects are great. I like at the end how they had to team up and the double cross at the end, or the supposed double cross. I like how Loki, you know, makes Thor think that he's dead.
Yeah.
You know that
Again,
right? Like Loki's still being Loki. You know. But yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, definitely. I enjoyed it too, watching it again. It was a really good story. Again, I just didn't really get the whole reality stone aspect of it because it didn't.
With the
seem like
reality stone, what I would have had them do more with the reality stone is kind of do some like mind bending stuff like they did in like Inception kind of things where like you have like 4 different realities like playing out in a cube you know what I'm saying, like you know, like to me that, and like find some way to work that in without being you know repetitive.
Yeah, because you really didn't see the reality stone at work the way it's supposed to be until
because it absorbed itself to Jane Foster as the Ether, and she was just a little stronger. Yeah, and like the Dark Elves, Malekith wanted her, and it was just like, but none of that really related to the aspect of the stone. Yeah.
So I don't know, the Iron Man 3, Thor 2, right back to back each other was like, oh, okay, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, honestly.
That's the point where I feel like they were trying to do too much.
Right, and I think that's why they had to bring it back home.
It didn't really work.
This might be a conversation for later, but Loki ends up noble.
Wow, he ended
for the time being.
For right now, for when we last left
getting
off.
a TV show, so let's see on Disney Plus.
All right, man. So the next movie was one of my favorite movies of MCU at all
Here
time.
we go.
And we'll start off with Al on this one, man. This is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and in this one we got introduced to the Winter Soldier, Bucky, and we also got Falcon for the first time, man. On your left. On your left.
Don't say it.
On your left. Stop saying it. It was a really great movie, man. Rewatching it was awesome, man. Al, did you get a chance to see that movie sometime recently? Or?
Nah, I haven't seen it for some time since.
So what do you remember from it?
I just like the fact, going back to his history, introducing Bucky as the Winter Soldier, and the conflict that it then caused him, and because normally he would go out and just try to destroy the bad guy. You know, that was the whole point. But now he can't do that because the bad guy is his friend.
Right.
You know, and just watching that conflict of the fight and going back and forth and trying to bring his friend back to, so to speak, the light side.
And not just that it's his friend. Like when he was a scrawny,
he felt like he was his brother.
When he was a scrawny nothing, Bucky used to beat people up for him. Like Bucky used to keep him safe,
brother,
like
protector,
his protector and everything. Like Bucky saved his ass a lot of times. Yeah. And then for him now to like have to go at Bucky, and I thought it was great that anytime he could have like closed the door on Bucky, he stopped. He took pause and said, "Look, I can't do this," because he's always been that clean cut character that just follows orders, and this is the first time you really saw him question his orders.
Yeah.
And it set up some development for his character that I really liked.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the Hydra and
invading Shield.
Yeah.
Al, I'm telling you right now, if you watch that movie sometime this week before Endgame, you're gonna love it, man. That movie's incredible. Even the Nick Fury
chase.
Oh, forget it.
The death of Nick Fury, quote unquote.
Yeah, that was a great. Yeah,
that was nuts.
Nuts, man.
Especially when he got popped in the apartment. He was like sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be a longer thing than this." He was just like, "Don't say a word, don't trust anyone." And he got up, and I was like, "Poof, poof," and I was like, "Oh!" Nick Fury just took 2 to the chest.
Yeah, man, that's Marvel. You know what? Marvel should have kept him dead at that, man. If they had left Nick Fury dead at that point right there, that would have made a lot of
I think honestly,
a big statement.
I think with what they did.
What you got against Samuel L. Jackson
It's
getting
not-
paid, bro?
It's not against
If
Samuel L.
he's
Jackson.
dead, then he can't come in more movies and get paid. Like, come on, man.
know what
Why
it is,
Samuel L.
man?
Jackson can't
It's
get a
because
paycheck?
Loki keeps coming back. He keeps coming back. Nick Fury. Who else?
He's Nick Fury. He has
there's
to keep-
no
You know what that
power.
sounds like? A comic book. All these guys just keep coming back.
Hot take.
No, but like in the movie sense, if you're gonna kill off a character and you think in your head, they're not gonna really be dead.
You're
They're
Game
coming
of
back.
Thrones mindset right now. If
Yeah.
you're dead, you stay dead.
If I saw you die, you dead.
even in Game of Thrones, people don't stay dead.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there's no power to the person passing away or dying in the movie if you think that they'll be coming back. Like even us after Infinity War, what do we all say? Well, we know they're all coming back, so so yeah, man. I mean, for Captain America: Winter Soldier was cool. Now we get into one of the movies. When I saw the first trailer for it, I was like, "What the hell is this?" I never heard of these guys. Guardians of the Galaxy ended up being one of everybody's favorites.
I knew I knew they existed. I just didn't
didn't even know they
any
existed.
of their story.
Neither, yeah.
You know. But again, great story, great storytelling, and they added to the universe.
Yeah, listen, in that movie they introduced, the whole team. They introduced the Nova Corps. Everybody thought when they saw the Nova Corps we were going to get Nova, but nothing yet.
Interesting character that they was involved, but not really crazy. The Collector.
Mm-hmm.
The Collector was pretty cool.
Was
Howard the Duck in this one?
Howard
Right?
the Duck was
I'm
in that
waiting for
one.
a Howard the Duck movie. Side note, by the way, just think it would be
Yeah.
awesome to see. But yeah.
And they also introduced the Power Stone and how it works in there. Did they show what do they call those guys? The big main guys. The guy who had the Power Stone that showed it how it was used. He put it down on the ground and exploded the Earth. Not the Earth, but the planet.
Oh,
that he
the
was
Eternal.
On. Yeah, an Eternal.
Yeah, the Internals, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so-
mean, they weren't the Internal. I think they were. I forgot what they named
Celestial?
them. I think it was a Celestial.
Yeah, so they introduced the Power Stone in that movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy. I enjoyed that. I rewatched
it was
it and really
great.
liked it. It was
The
pretty
first
good.
one was really.
But whatever happened to that planet?
Which
Or
planet?
do we? Are we gonna
Xandar?
talk about that? Yeah. Are we talking
Well,
about
They
that later?
blew it up. Thanos
According-
went rolling through it to get the Power Stone.
That's what he said.
But they
that-
never show it.
They never showed it, which is one of the rumors is
Because-
we're gonna actually see it in this movie, but we'll see.
Because isn't
We'll
that
see.
where Adam Warlock is coming from? So
No.
He's
Adam
with
Warlock
the
is
Golden
in
People.
Yeah. Well, I mean that brings us to Avengers: Age of Ultron was the next movie after Guardians of the Galaxy, and then that one you guys just pretty much went over Black Widow there, but they introduced Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and Vision,
Yeah.
and they also put more to the forefront that tension between Cap and Tony Stark there. So, I mean, Sans, what do you think of Age of Ultron? I mean, a lot of people don't really like that as the Avengers movies. They usually rank every other Avenger movie higher than that one. I thought Age of Ultron was okay. It was pretty good to me.
I want to say I expected more from Ultron when they finally decided to. It was a good build up to the final battle, but then when they finally battled Ultron, there wasn't much to it other than let's just kill all the Ultrons.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Tony and Thor had to come up with a great plan. I like that Thor was incorporated into the plan integrally, and it was really about him, literally dropping the hammer,
Right.
and making it happen. But I like that part of it. But I just wanted there to be more to Ultron. It just seemed his end seemed very anticlimactic, and maybe that's what they were going for.
Right.
But he seemed like a bigger bad than they made him out to be.
I feel like they used Ultron's story to propel the next part of the phase because of everything that arose because of what happened in Sokovia. I feel like they don't even talk about Ultron in Sokovia. They talked about what happened in Sokovia,
Right.
and that propels most of Phase 3.
Because it feels like once they figured him out, it was easy.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have been, even after they figured him out, it shouldn't have been that easy.
No, especially after he coated himself in vibranium, you know, this and that. You know, he basically made himself a character that was stronger than anybody else. And then that at the end, it was just like, okay, we're going to keep breaking these guys, and he's getting upset. And then we're going to kind of twist him into our thought because now we have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch on our side.
Right.
You know, now we can beat you. And it's like, now you can beat him? Like, that's it? That's all it took to
They
beat
probably
him?
could have had that story with anybody else. I would have rather seen Ultron incorporated into some of the Ant-Man movies and put him back in his origin where he really came from. And not so much a Tony Stark invention, which I was
feel
like kind of a stretch too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ultron in the comic especially kind of takes on Thanos' role that he has now, where he's kind of in every movie a bit. You know, I feel like Ultron could have did that where he got out of this movie weakened, weak, because that's usually how Ultron's defeated is. He gets broken up or his sentient consciousness gets sent somewhere else to a different body, this and that.
Right.
I feel they could have did that instead of just defeating him, you know.
Any chances you think of him coming back?
No.
I think it's always a possibility because with the way the internet works and the way everything's connected, like you can hide in some dark corner. The same way Jarvis got disassembled and he was hiding somewhere, and Tony found him and rebuilt him and put him back together.
I mean, that's what they did in the comics with
Yeah.
Ultron. It's always been
Exactly.
with Ultron. He's always hid somewhere else.
Right.
You know, his body was broken, but his mind went somewhere else.
I thought the best part of that movie though was Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool
absolutely.
was he?
Well, yeah,
Vision was really cool.
when he came out and whatever, and you know.
Do you guys remember the crowd when Vision stood up on that
Yeah.
capsule?
Yes. They were like, oh.
Wait. Do you guys remember the crowd when he handed Thor his hammer?
Yes. I was just getting to that. That's what I was getting to. But
Oh man.
Thor's like at the end of the movie, if the hammer trusts him, I trust him.
Right.
You know.
Pretty much.
But now, did the hammer trust him because he wasn't actually a person?
No, because he was just. He was.
It says that he
He
what
was
is
righteous.
But remember, he's
like he'll be
See,
worthy, be able to wield the power of Thor. That's what. And
I mean, even Captain America lifted it a little bit.
yeah.
but even Cap has his dark side to him, and what they're saying is like just Vision just doesn't have any ulterior motive. You know what I mean? He's I'm here to be
Like, he could see where the problems were, and he wanted to fix
the problems, right? Without hurting
Yeah.
people, like you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's next on the list, though? I don't know.
Yeah, that was that. Well, you guys brought it into Ant-Man for me, so I mean, Ant-Man pretty much was basically Ant-Man.
Ant-Man,
You know, we got the is it Paul Rudd?
Paul Rudd.
Paul
Yeah,
Rudd
we
and
got the
Scott
Paul
Lang.
Rudd Ant-Man in there, and you know, I think Falcon was in that movie with him for a little brief scene there.
Yeah.
But there was really nothing much besides us getting to know who Ant-Man is and him getting the suit, understanding the powers of the suit and what he could do.
Even in that movie, Hank Pym is downplayed.
Yeah.
It's about Paul Rudd, and it's about the suit, and it's about his redemption and
The atoning father.
Yeah, they followed a lot of the Iron Man type of sentiment in this movie, just with Paul Rudd, and maybe not as dramatic or as cinematic or
More
as grandiose. It
sarcasm.
wasn't as big, but
See, to me, they kind of reduced Hank Pym to like Dr. Selvig. You know, not that Dr. Selvig doesn't have great contributions in the Thor storyline, but he's just like there on the side.
Just, this was your reason for being here.
Right.
yeah,
You need to be here for the quantum realm stuff.
Right.
And that's the only point in the story that we need you for.
yeah.
Right.
I think they could have done more with that character. I do like Paul Rudd as an actor. I think he's hilarious. I think he makes a really, really good Ant-Man. He's exciting to see in an ensemble with the Avengers. I don't think I need to see 5 Ant-Man movies necessarily.
I think I'm good with the 2 that I have.
I think exactly, and I think they kind of faltered with the lack of the Hank Pym development in making you want more Ant-Man movies. I think they could have done a little bit more with that, but Ant-Man's cool. Ant-Man's better with the Avengers, and I can't wait to see him in Endgame.
Yeah, see
I
where he
don't
brings
need
the
to see him
story.
by himself, but good addition, absolutely. And
Yeah, man.
I think the comic relief is really good. I think we're lacking some of the comedic side. These are all very
But I
dramatic
think
and
that's why
action movies.
I think that's why Guardians works so well in it as well, because they have some serious storyline, but they also it has a lighter tone, but they're still heavy in a way, but like they're more comical and
I like
and
that.
everything. But you know, especially at the end, we'll talk more about Guardians.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries, man. So we'll get to the next movie on the list. There is Captain America: Civil War, one of the best MCU movies made.
Yes.
Now, in that movie, that brought us to the introduction of Black Panther, Spider-Man, and that's when the Avengers kind of officially split right there in that movie. I already told you guys, to me, that is the #1 MCU movie made. I love Civil War. I could watch that movie over and over again. I don't think it really has anything to do with Endgame besides the fact that they're bringing the team back together. Because Infinity War, I think the only person that really wasn't back together was just Tony and Cap. That's pretty much it, and hopefully we'll get that right away in Endgame, and then we'll get to Thanos. But in Civil War, you guys thoughts on anything that it did or something that you saw in that movie that's going to play well with the rest of this movie, the Endgame here?
I just like how you could see it leading up from Avengers 1 with Tony Stark and Captain America. You can see the two of them going back and forth from those movies and kind of seeing, Captain America is going to be the leader, but Tony Stark has that quality too. Right. So you see the battle of the leaders through all these movies, from Avengers to Age of Ultron, where they had even more of a reason to fight, because Tony Stark went and made Ultron, the reason of the conflict. So by the time you get to Civil War, you've had this conflict between them growing, more and more. And so when it reaches that Sokovia Accords boiling point where he's just like, Steve, you're in, right? And he's just like, no. You saw right there, and to have that fight, there wasn't a big bad at the end. It was Iron Man and Cap. They were the fight at the end of the movie.
Right.
To have that fight, it was like so meaningful because you just had two heroes go at it for almost each other's lives. Like, I was rewatching Civil War this morning, and you can see the fear in Tony Stark's eyes when Captain America takes his helmet off and goes down with the shield. Tony Stark thought he was gonna die there.
Which is crazy. I can't even believe he thought that Cap was capable of that.
To actually see Cap go through that far. You've never seen Cap go that far before.
Yeah. Because
they're both heroes and they're both friends, and they're scuffling right now over Bucky. That the whole ending fight was over Bucky. Was let Tony Stark kill him, or does Captain America get to save him? And how does that mean I have to kill Tony Stark, or Tony Stark is going to have to kill me?
Because Tony Stark, it comes back to that issue of family.
Yeah.
Tony Stark now knows that Bucky, or the Winter Soldier, not Bucky, right? But the Winter Soldier killed his parents.
Yeah.
So for Tony, this is a matter of family.
Yeah.
You killed my mother, you killed my father.
And it was to see those two heroes
I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Whereas Cap's on the other side. Tony, Bucky didn't do this. The Winter Soldier did this, and Bucky's my family.
Yeah. I don't care.
And it was literally like,
so you're coming for my family,
right?
Yeah.
So if the only way to stop you is to kill you, well then so be it.
And
but I asked you to. But here, I think it starts at the beginning of the movie where Tony feels he's becoming more like he's finally doing what Cap wants him to do, or what Cap would do. And then Cap throws him a curveball. He's like, no, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But he's like, you're the one that's always like, follow the rules, follow the government. And I'm doing the government thing now. Right? Shouldn't not you? No, Tony, this is not liberty. And then I think Tony was caught off guard by that way, where he's thinking, okay, I'm growing up, I'm aligning myself with Cap, and all of a sudden now you want to move the goalpost on me?
Yeah.
When I'm trying to when I'm trying to be like you, when I'm trying to like be on the same side as you, and then add to that Bucky and going after him. Yeah. I mean, to me, I never liked Captain America as a character until that point. Now he's one of my favorites. After Civil War, Cap became one of my favorite characters.
So in that argument, Sanj, you were Team Cap?
Team Cap.
Reed, Team Cap?
Team Cap.
Al?
Yeah, Cap. Only because I can't stand
I feel like you couldn't not be Team Cap on there because of the way the story was going.
Yeah.
That's
why it's Captain America Civil War, not
Avengers. I think it was
not Avengers
cool.
Civil War.
Not Iron Man 3 Civil War.
I think everyone left there thinking like, yeah, of course Cap.
It was funny too because like you watch the Avengers movies, Avengers 1, Avengers 2, and you see the devastation of New York.
Yeah.
Sokovia basically was destroyed, in Avengers 2. And then to have General Ross come back
with the video,
video, like, this is how many lives were lost. This is how much damage you've caused. And they were just like,
you forget.
Yeah, like, you
don't realize it because
like,
you just see them kicking ass and
because you see them saving the day. And then he goes, who asked you? And it was just like, no, you needed us. Did we? You know, and it's just like, no, you did, but it was just like, but this is what you've done.
Can I clarify also, by the way, just I was going in there as Iron Man. Team Iron Man, not Team Cap. Yeah, I'm an Iron Man fan. I know Al's not a big Iron Man fan, but I definitely am. By the end of the movie, but that Thunderbolt Ross scene was legit.
Because that made you think about it for a second. You're like, oh, like, you know, you saved the lives that you saw on screen, but what about all those people that got killed? You didn't think about the people. You didn't think anyone died until you put those numbers on the screen. You know, and it's just like, these are all the people hurt. Like, it wasn't like the beginning of the movie opens up with, you know, Scarlet Witch throwing the bomb up, you know, that crossbones exploding into the building. And that killed people. They killed 11 people. And it was just like, oh, they killed 11 people. Like, oh, you know, that's crazy. This is the first time someone's died. And it's like, no. These thousands of people have died. Yeah. You know, during these events. And you're like, oh, damn.
How when they're watching the video and Cap's like, all right, enough.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, shut it off, man. Cap said enough.
Like, you cut it.
You heard the captain. You heard the captain.
These thousands plus one died.
Oh, man. Brings us to the next movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Doctor Strange. If I'm correct, me, Brandon, now saw Doctor Strange together when it came out, right?
I think it was just you and me.
Just you and me?
Yeah.
No, we all saw that.
No, Doctor Strange. I don't think anybody really came out for that.
Or was that? Did we go see Doctor Strange?
I think me and you went.
Okay.
To
yeah,
Doctor Strange
me and Brandon went.
And we didn't even go on release.
Al, did you ever get a chance to catch Doctor Strange?
Yeah,
good.
No,
So what you end up thinking of Doctor Strange? Because that one introduced Doctor Strange himself, the Time Stone, and the different realms, the mirror realm and the quantum realm for a second.
Yeah, this one I like.
The finger realm, was it?
It was like
one,
the hands were like there.
It was like a hand that turned into another hand, which turned into another hand. It was just absolutely weird.
Yeah.
He ate and ate an apple like 4 or 5 times too. If I recall that, is that right? He was sitting there and
he just moved his hand.
Yeah. No, but it was good. I liked it. It stood true to the character. You know, he was a doctor with a god complex and so forth. And even with his world destroyed, he still didn't care about. You know, as a doctor, I'm sure he's had to tell people, "Oh, don't worry, you'll come back from this." He was acting like his world was over just because he lost his hands and wasn't going to be able to be a doctor and everything. And to show that he was able to go on and become this person, and they were able to find some piece of his personality and character to warrant becoming Doctor Strange and so forth.
Well, that was the surgery for him. We all saw the movie. Was his world? So it was crazy.
The surgeon can't. If a surgeon ain't got hands, he ain't a
no.
surgeon.
But what I'm saying is, like, as that surgeon, and you're giving that kind of life-changing surgery to someone, you've had to tell them, "Don't worry, you'll live after this."
He's on the other side of it.
And now he's on the other side, and he's not able to tell that, live that.
Yeah, but the thing is that as a surgeon, his part of his God complex was not no matter what situation you're in or how bad you think you're jacked up, I'll fix you.
Yeah.
That was his thing. So when he says to somebody, "You'll be all right," it's because he knows he's gonna go in there and fix him. Whereas with him, where he lost his worldview was because he didn't think he could be fixed. Like he's like, I can't fix myself, and in his mind, there's nobody else that's good enough to fix me.
Yeah,
you know, I need me to fix me, but.
So to see that change and come around, and now he was the hero, and he was basing it on magic, and the fact that they stood true to that fact too, because at first while I'm watching, I'm like, how is he learning all this so quick? And it was because his memory.
Because of how hard he worked to be a
doctor. No, but he also
surgeon.
had like almost a semi-photographic memory. So he
that's right. He said that.
You know, like where any one of us probably would have needed to look at that book 15 times, you know, or whatever. He was able to look at it once. He already knew the spell. He knew this.
And then he would astral project himself to keep learning as he was sleeping.
Yeah.
So he was resting and learning at the same time. So he just never stopped.
Yeah, no, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I enjoyed myself with that movie there.
He was one of the, at least in, given what his abilities are and should be, to me, he was one of the most underused in the movie. I thought.
I agree.
I like that they keep adding these jerk characters.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, because they're all jerks in the comics too. So
and then they cast them so well. Like, not that Benedict Cumberbatch is a jerk. He just plays one very well.
Yes, he does.
Oh yeah. If you ever saw him as Sherlock.
Oh yeah.
Oh, forget it.
But I don't think the Sherlock character's ever really been a jerk. Like I wouldn't.
He's pompous.
Yes, he is pompous, but I wouldn't characterize him as a jerk. I would say like, I thought he was great as Julian Assange, when he played Julian Assange in the WikiLeaks movie.
I didn't catch that one.
You know, he was I don't think anyone else could have played that character.
But they bring some characters, and then Benedict Cumberbatch. You got it with Robert Downey Jr. We said, what's this? Michael Douglas, and these characters that are famous, and you see them as something other. You actually see them as these comic book characters, and it's like it seems natural. Like to think of Benedict Cumberbatch and anything else, right? And I kind of see Doctor Strange, which is amazing that these movies have been able to do that. Like Robert Downey Jr. has done a ton of stuff before he was Iron Man, and now when I see him, I see Iron Man, which is like the craziest thing. I just don't.
Dude, my favorite Cumberbatch line in these MCU movies is, I think Iron Man asked him what he does. He goes, "Protecting your reality, douchebag."
Yeah, but I've also seen Robert Downey Jr. in other movies. It's not that different. A lot of times, I think he's doing Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the level of arrogance, the level of self-confidence.
Maybe that's the I guess the little nuance that they do is like allow them to be themselves and still play the character, and that's why we see them as that character. So
a la Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
All right.
Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yeah, basically, right? The next movie after Doctor Strange came out was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Sanj, we got Mantis in that one. That's it.
Oh, Ego.
We have Ego. Living Planet.
Ego.
Yeah, but he's done.
That bothered me that they changed his background and made
spiel.
his whole spiel. Because he has a dad that's also from space, but a regular person.
Yeah.
And like is a king somewhere.
I didn't see the whole Ego thing happening
I
until,
didn't
and
see it
I'm like, I was like, oh, that's a new take on Ego, but I feel like they could have did it with anyone else.
Yep. I think they could have done it with anyone else or any other circumstance. I don't think they needed
Did you
Ego.
guys enjoy the movie or?
I thought it was comedic.
They're
really
comedic.
fun.
They're fun to watch. I think you can't really go wrong with a Guardians of the Galaxy movie right now. It's gonna be hard.
I like that it explained why Chris Pratt's character was able to hold the power source.
I think that's the only reason they did the whole Ego.
Yeah.
But Ego's like, even in a comic book, she's not really much of anything.
Yeah,
it was like just to bring a character that you would never see on a big screen to the big screen. It was just like we can do it type of thing.
Yeah, like
it's a pride thing, like right, like a I'll
really
put Ego in
coming.
here. It's like, all right, cool, good for you.
Yeah, I think that movie was more one of those other ones, like I said, like the Iron Man 3s, where it's just like a story outside of it, because it really didn't introduce anything much, but it was a good story. It was cool. I liked it more when I saw it in the theater. I left there unimpressed. Yeah, because I expected more, but
it was like they needed to put in this new cutscene to add to the story. So they're like, we need a movie so that we can add the cutscene to the end that we need to add.
The Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess you have such a huge universe available to you that you can use.
You have the universe available.
Well, the universe.
Remember,
and you don't get that. I feel like they haven't taken advantage of that enough.
Well, remember the overarching theme in the movie was, you know, fatherhood, parenthood, that, you know, fathers and their children.
Yeah.
And remember Yondu, they always wonder, you know, in the first movie he's hunting Peter Quill down, and in the second movie you get a little bit more of their story where even his crew, Yondu's crew, is like questioning, like, why are you always so soft on him? And at the end of the movie, like, even Yondu, when he's helping Peter Quill go at Ego, and he's like, you may be his father, but I'm his daddy. You know, and like, and that was,
it's powerful, man.
I'm just saying, it was to me that was a really touching story, like at the end of it, and then the send off that they gave Yondu at the end, and like Peter Quill's always struggled, you know, with his place in the universe. Like, you know, he loves his mom, and like his love has always been for his mom, but never really knew who his dad was or anything like that. And then he was so excited, you know, and at the beginning we think Ego's this good guy, right? Or a nice guy. Oh, he's looking for his son. He's gonna, you know, and it's gonna be a happy dad-son reunion story. And then and then you get the twist. He has all these kids, and he's just looking for the one that actually has some powers, so that he can go get an Infinity Stone. You know what I mean? And so, you know, and then there's the twist, and we like viewed Yondu as a villain, and then come to twist, he's like he's a hero. He's a hero, and not only that, he comes to his son's rescue.
Another Marvel redemption story.
Redemption story, but it was just a touching story.
Yeah,
it really was. Man.
Now, speaking of that, one thing that they mentioned there, and I don't know if I'm getting this right, Ego was an Eternal.
Yeah.
And then he said that Peter is also an Eternal, and then Thanos is a.
But Peter, he gave
No,
up
I
his
think
powers.
they're saying
in that-
Celestial in the movie.
A Celestial.
I think they were saying Celestial.
A
with
Celestial.
Ego.
Right, but as soon as Ego died, he lost that access to being a
he
Celestial.
lost that power.
Yeah, because
Okay.
his power came from Ego.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just
And
was
as-
wondering
and
if that's
as-
going to play at
and
all.
as he got closer to Ego,
No,
his
I think
power
that's over.
increased.
That's
I think it
all.
was literally for the movie.
For the movie and everything, you don't think any of that plays
I
out?
literally, I think it was all just to explain how he could hold the Power Stone.
Okay.
And I'm okay. I'm okay with them having a
Brandon's,
movie.
Brandon's saying the only reason they made that movie was just to say why he could hold it.
But I'm okay with them having that movie to explain why he can hold the Power Stone, because at the end of the first movie, I was like, how can he hold a Power Stone?
Well, here, we'll give you 2.5 hour explanation.
Well, part of my knock on certain things, right, is that it's too contrived, it's too glossed over. Like, they just throw it into the story. Oh, yeah, by the way, his dad's an Eternal or a Celestial or whatever, and that's why. And it's like 10 seconds of explanation. I'm like, that's very convenient.
Yeah.
So they gave me a movie this time.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm all right.
But it's sad to use it as a plot device, and then you don't think it was going to play out at all in Endgame, which is kind of, I guess, a sad
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
It's
But
just-
how do we
that's
know
it.
it's not going to play out?
Well, we don't know yet. We'll find
Yeah.
out.
See,
Thursday.
supposedly, his part, you know what I mean? Maybe that's the thing. Like,
But he's out. Like,
yeah, he's done.
He's
done.
He's out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's not gonna play out.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Touche.
speaking of dust.
Well played, Brandon. Well played. Well played.
So in regards to dust, the next movie we got was Spider-Man: Homecoming. Yeah, he's done. So I guess the only thing really I got out of Spider-Man: Homecoming was that relationship between him and Tony,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
awesome. It was a good movie too, really good movie.
I like that. The
I
Iron
like
Man
that
suit
movie.
was pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
The spider.
The
I don't know.
Iron
The
Spider.
Iron Spider. Yeah, they showed it, and he was just like, "No, I'm gonna be a neighborhood Spider-Man at the end,"
Yep.
which was pretty good. But I really don't think anything in that movie had anything to do with this Infinity Saga.
think it
No,
was
that,
just
mo-
a-
that
just
movie
a-
was just to bring Spider-Man into
Home.
the MCU.
Yeah, bring
and that's
him
why
home.
they call it
Yeah.
Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like,
Mhm.
because and it was. I think it was good enough.
Yeah,
that,
man.
to
I
bring
enjoyed it.
how they brought Spider-Man in.
Absolutely. And then we bring it to Thor Ragnarok.
I like it. I like it because he feels like the hammer is his power.
Who is Thor without his
Right,
hammer,
who's Thor without the hammer? So now he
Right.
kind of has to figure out who he is without the hammer.
Favorite scene?
Favorite scene? When they break his hammer.
No.
For me, I used to ask me.
When Mark Ruffalo hits the floor.
Oh yes, yes. I'm gonna show you who I really am.
Dude,
Flop. He was trying so hard to impress the girl.
He was.
He was trying
Oh,
so hard to
man.
impress the girl, and then he just goes splat.
yeah, man. So
Sun's getting real low.
Sun's real getting low, big fella. Come here. Now that movie was good. In that movie we got introduced to. Oh, you thinking about him falling on the floor again?
He just replayed it in his head, and now he's sharing.
When you watch that scene, it makes a big thud.
Oh yeah. It's hard.
Because he like lands on the Bifrost, right?
No, the Rainbow Bridge. He lands on the Rainbow Bridge
Yeah.
face first.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I mean, listen, in that movie they brought in Hela, and they also brought in who else? Valkyrie, right? They're Tessa Thompson's character, right?
Who's the
So-
character from Planet Hulk they got in the other comic relief? What's
Korg.
his name? Korg. Yeah,
Korg,
Korg.
yeah.
He was funny.
And Meek.
And Meek.
Hey, Meek. You all right, Meek?
Oh, Meek's dead.
Meek's been dead for 3 weeks.
Meek's
I know him
Meek's
from my
dead.
work.
He's not dead.
That's Thor.
Yeah,
I know
the-
him from my work.
I know him from work.
Oh man.
Yes.
So like a big rumor going on with Thor Ragnarok's characters is that Hela is in the comic book movie, in the comic book of Infinity War, she's supposed to be Death.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, listen, the way they left Thor Ragnarok, Asgard is done, and what was it, Surtur destroyed
Surtur.
it. So, you think there's a chance we see Hela in Endgame?
I feel like a lot of the villains in the Marvels are kind of like a one-off.
Yeah.
You know, giving Hela in.
So you think she's
was
done?
The story. I think it's done.
So
Wow.
if she's Death, is this the same Death that we're?
In this. In
Not-
the
not the
Marvel
same.
Comics universe, she's not deaf.
Because they
Okay.
left, they said that she's
Too
Death, or she's the
Embodiment of Death.
Yeah,
But
they-
in
embodiment
this
of death,
in this
yeah.
story, she was Odin's first daughter.
Mhm.
You know, she's Odin's first daughter. She helped him conquer for a lot of Asgard, helped him become the ruler that that Odin was, because of that. And she became too powerful. She became too greedy to this and that. And that's why he had to banish her away. In the comic universe, she's just death. She wasn't his daughter, this and that.
Yeah.
She wasn't Odin's older sister. Odin had a younger brother, Balder. And that he's not in the comics. He's not in the movie. Sorry. So I think that was a little swap they did because Balder has a lot to do with Ragnarok itself.
Right.
So I think taking Balder out and making Hela a child of Odin, was the big difference that they went for.
Her character was good though, man.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the character.
Plus, the Bringer's death would serve no purpose at this point because in the comics, that's why this all happened. Was
that entices
because Thanos was trying to get her affection by doing this. This is his motivation in the movies is I just want to take out half of everybody so there can be balance. So to bring her in as death would kind of like not have a purpose in that.
Now, what I would like to see though, if we do get a death character at some point, is a Thanos Deadpool movie. Now that Fox owns it, and then Disney owns Fox, and Thanos and Deadpool and death, I think would be for hilarity and would be like,
can I just snap him out of existence?
He's good. I mean, Deadpool is the only other person that really interacts with death in the comic books that I'm aware of, that I really recall on a regular basis, and she is like an embodied person, and he seeks to die. His motivation to die is to be with death, which is interesting that he can't die, and to have that with Thanos, I think would be really interesting for a movie. But that's a whole different podcast.
Well, I was gonna bring it back to you anyway, Ree, because the next movie here is Black Panther, and when we did our little March Madness thing here, Black Panther was up there. It was pretty high. It was in the top 4.
I think. Black Panther culturally, huge movie. The message that Black Panther has is like for Marvel to be that conscious and to have that perspective and that understanding, and then bring that to a movie where we're discussing in this time race relations. This is like, I think it was a bold move for them. They could have alienated a lot of people, and I think they did it very well. It was well executed, and I think that's why I had to put it in as high as I did in my list.
Yeah.
Marvel made a stand, and they stood on the right side.
Yeah, man. Black Panther was great. And then leads us to last year's epic Avengers movie, Infinity War. Beginning to end, great movie. Great movie. Shocked me, moved me, just kept me entertained throughout the entire film. Left us with a cliffhanger of all cliffhangers.
I think it was one of those movies like you had to ask yourself, can they actually pull this off? It was like, you asked that question when the Avengers 1 came out. It was like, are they really going to pull this off? And then you got to this movie, like you have this whole cast of characters. You have all these stories that intertwine now. How are you going to pull this off? And it was like, holy shit, they pulled it off, And that was the craziest part for me was just that it worked. I didn't expect a mess, but I when I first heard that this is what we're doing, we're bringing them all together. We're doing this, we're doing that. I'm like, how's that going to work in a 2.5 hour period? You have so much to bring together. And Marvel was so smart in the way they wrote it, and they had those people combine and work together and think about this and do that.
They pieced it together very well.
Yeah.
And they had that. Well, the thing that they did was very smart. Was before they all combined together, Thanos was visiting these individual. So they're not universes, I guess. Marvel galaxies.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna visit the Asgardians, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna visit. And he was
realms. They called them
the different realms. Yeah, and he was going in and doing what he had to do, but it was piecemeal. So it's like you felt like they were disparate stories, and then they all combined to be like, okay, you got it. Like they did it, executed it beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, where they left us off, where they killed off half the Marvel Cinematic Universe and everybody in all the
Cap's fault.
Yeah. No, Star-Lord's fault.
Star-Lord's fault. Star-Lord's fault. Go for the head, right?
There was a meme
Thor should have gone for
the meme that was cracking me up.
Head.
Was like they had a meme of Infinity War where they had like Cap in the shadows, and like Cap was watching the whole fight, could have stepped out of the shadows, but had to wait for the right moment to make his badass entrance. He was waiting there for way too long.
Yeah, man, there was a couple ways that movie could have gone differently if it didn't.
Well, you heard they were supposed to save the snap for Endgame.
Yeah,
That's
and
how it was going to start, right?
Yeah, that's how Endgame was supposed to start. But they said it was just way too powerful of a moment to have it wait.
Yeah, no.
And I completely agree. That was the smartest thing they could do and that was it.
Yeah,
That was
man.
great.
Because what it would have robbed us if they had waited to Endgame to do the snap.
That emotional weight.
It would have robbed you of that, like in the aftermath of the snap. Like you go home, like it snaps, and that's the end of the movie, right? And you go home, you're like, oh my god, there's like half of the whole universe just left, and like it led to these websites to like put in your name, see if you dusted, and things like that. So I mean, it created like a big cultural
It was
phenomenon.
a whole cultural, social moment.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Were you dusted?
I didn't check.
Oh.
Brandon was dusted.
I was dusted. I didn't make it.
Oh man, yeah. So Avengers: Infinity War was absolutely nuts, and that's where we left off with Infinity War. And then was Ant-Man and the Wasp was after that, and introduced the quantum realm a little more deeper. What'd you guys think of Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Entertaining. I mean,
It was very entertaining. I love the after credits scene. I just felt it was lacking a little bit. But I thought it was entertaining. I think it was a nice way, like we keep talking about that dessert for the end of the phases. I think it was a nice way to end that little phase there, if we consider a phase. But it was a nice way to kind of end this moment while we wait for Endgame. So I really appreciated that. It was fun. It was a good time. I just think there needed to be more story. I wasn't so up with Ghost, was it? Ghost.
Right,
And then
the villain of the
Lawrence
movie,
Fishburne's
quote-unquote villain,
Goliath. I think it could have been a movie that didn't need a villain. I think the exploration to get Janet back, maybe a villain in the quantum realm would have been something different, cool. I feel like the villain route they went with wasn't the best narrative-wise.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. I mean, and listen, the ending of it left us with knowing that there's no Wasp, there's no Michael Douglas role, there's
Hank
no
Pym.
Hank Pym, and
then
also
he's in the quantum realm.
He's stuck in
Janet
the
Van. Is it Janet Van Dyne?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're left with what we left off with, Ant-Man stuck in the quantum realm right now, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see how that plays out. The last movie that came up before this movie is Captain Marvel, which really was more of a prequel. So really, we just basically got introduced to the character.
Fury's background a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit of fleshed out of Nick Fury's background. Reed, did you see Captain Marvel?
I did.
What'd you think of that?
I enjoyed Captain Marvel. I enjoyed the Skrulls. I enjoyed the reintroduction of Ronan a little bit.
Yeah.
Seeing him a little bit more. I thought that was a character that we could use a little bit more of in general because, like I said, same thing out there, universe. So many characters out there for you to investigate and discover. Marvel. I know we've been talking about Captain Marvel and everybody's been talking about it. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago, I didn't think that's the direction that we're going to go into. And she's such a powerful character.
Yeah.
For them to develop, we haven't seen anybody of that magnitude yet. So I thought it was really, really interesting. Good movie. Well done. A little bit more exploration, I think, of the universe outside of Earth, I think is necessary inside of Marvel. This is going to give you that avenue. It's going to give you that medium to really explore that as well.
I feel like I really agree with you're saying, how we need to explore more. I feel the problem is they keep sending everything in the universe towards Earth.
Yeah.
It's like, so instead of us going out to see it's coming here. The Skrulls are coming here. Thanos is coming here. Everyone's coming here. So I feel like, yes, I know why they're doing it, keeping towards Earth, because Earth's mightiest heroes are here. But we have this huge galaxy of Marvel, stop sending it to Earth and have us go there somehow.
Well, that's what they're saying. Phase 4 is supposed to be exploring the cosmic side of the comic books. And
that's why I hope they do.
Yeah. Sanj, what do you think she'll bring to this Endgame? You think she's going to be a big factor or anything like that?
Who, Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Oh, obviously she's gonna be a very, very big factor because when that was Fury's last ace in his back pocket, so he was. Imagine all these characters this cast that he's put together. The whole Avengers initiative and whatever. Imagine how powerful she is, right? Where he's just like all of all of these other guys combined is not what she is. You know, he's like, that's the end all be all, because if I unleash this power, then there's no power that can, in his mind, that can match this force. And he doesn't want to unleash that force. So, you know, she's in some other galaxy somewhere. That's the level that her power is at, and her, you know, her purview of existence is. So he's just like, you know, these guys are good for domestic, you know, needs. But when it comes to like, we need to save the universe, I got my ace. And that's who he calls in. And I'm glad that she wasn't introduced in any way prior to the lead up to Endgame. Like, she didn't need to be in Infinity War, or we didn't need to know anything about her beforehand. Whereas now, she can't just show up either. Right? Again, another one of those, you can't just have a plot device that just shows up. I hate that. But then, who's that? Like, who's that symbol?
Yeah.
You know, because it looks like Captain America's symbol, but not really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then we get the movie to explain who she is and why she's not here. And then she shows up.
And this is a Marvel comic book character that I don't know if anyone's really has that much familiarity with.
Not really.
Not used very
and she
frequently.
Wasn't used that much either in the comics.
That's what I'm saying. Not used very much in the comic
Marvel.
books. Does anyone know if this even follows anything remotely next to the comic books? Or
no,
they
man.
changed
That's past
her
my
origin,
time
you know.
reading comic books.
Yeah.
Just only quite. Did you guys just see Infinity War again?
I just saw it yesterday.
Just saw it again.
Yeah.
So now, refresh my memory. When Samuel L. Jackson calls her, does he even know what's going on?
Maria Hill just got disintegrated.
No, yeah, I know that, but he doesn't know why.
Yeah.
No, he just sees everybody disintegrating.
Because when he saw everything else going on, they were like trying to figure out what was going on.
Well, they were on a they were researching something. They were just.
I think he may not know exactly what's going on, but I think
was going on?
I think
yes.
he knows what. But they all know what Thanos' goal is: the elimination of half of the life. And then when he sees people start to dust, right? He's like, "It's happening. Thanos won." In his mind, he's like, "If this is
happening," he didn't know that part.
He didn't know about Thanos. But
they just
I'll tell you what.
They had they're like, "Oh, there's like a big power above Wakanda."
They said they saw two bogeys
and
coming into.
He was like, "Oh," he goes, "New York size," and he was there. She was like, "Yeah, about bigger than New York." And I think that's when Maria Hill started to disintegrate after the car accident started happening in the street, and that's when he started to hit
the car accident and the helicopter hit the thing.
Yeah. Somebody else like in my mind, like, you know, when you hear all the people make the jokes about where was she, why wasn't she here, like, I was thinking about that, like, if he didn't know that the battle was going on and that it was Thanos and that he won and that's why people were disappearing.
I think he knows.
I don't
think they didn't. From what I remember, that's why I said refresh my memory, because I don't remember him knowing what was happening.
This is the fire alarm. This is the fire alarm. This is when an extinction level event is happening. This is the button you push, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
I don't think he needed to know about Thanos or needed to know
but that's
about.
what I'm saying. If you know, if he didn't know that this was what was happening,
right?
What made him press it then when he didn't press it for New York?
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like in New York, you knew what was happening. You saw them coming out.
No, because
he didn't have the time to look at the fight and assess it and then push the button.
I think
he had to push the button because he was going.
Well, he knew about what was coming for New York because he was prepared for New York. He had his team. He had his team put together, and he's like, "This is the team that I'm going to put together on the planet here, and I feel that they can handle it."
Yeah.
Right. When this starts happening again, he's like, "These guys can't handle it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That was the only thing I was like, wait a minute. If he doesn't know that that's happening, what made him think? Like, to your point, what made him think they couldn't handle this fight?
Yeah,
because it's happening. Like,
well, you have to remember
at that point, all he saw was
people
Maria Hill dusting. That's it.
He didn't push the button, so he
you have
was
to remember
dusting.
too that Avengers. He, like Sanjay said, he had his team. The whole New York thing. By the time the Avengers had their fight and they separated and they had their plan to come back together, it was just Loki. Loki in the middle of New York had opened up the portal that brought down the Chitauri. So the New York battle started with just Loki. And so the squad all converged together and he saw them. And the only problem other than Loki at the time was that the council was sending a nuke because of the Chitauri. So his issue is like, okay, we have a nuke, we have the Chitauri. He goes, we have Loki, and that was all according. Like, calling Captain Marvel, he only had 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes and 30 seconds till that nuke hit. You got to throw all the thing you have there. So that's why they made the call to Iron Man, and Iron Man did this and all that. But by the time he knew that it was a bad problem, you only had like 5 minutes.
But
so maybe that was
Nick Fury. I think in calling Captain Marvel's, I think that he had an intuition that he wasn't going to be available to lead, to strategize, and you got to remember Captain Marvel's background. She has a military background. She's a strategist herself. It's like somebody needs to come and organize and handle this
at the moment too.
Yeah,
the Avengers are broken up.
Yeah,
there are no Avengers.
So
his team is not there.
Absolutely,
that's the last thing he knows. So that might be another reason too.
So he's like, I'm not gonna be here. The Avengers aren't here. I need to call some backup.
Did you know that? Because his last appearance was in Age of Ultron.
Right, but he had to know that he knows everything. He's spy of all spies. Right. But listen, at the end of Captain Marvel, that's where we get up to Thursday night, Endgame. Just really quick to end this podcast, as we're going a little long on this one. Let's just
go long on everything.
Well, almost all of them, right? Listen, so end this one here. We're going to go around the table just saying what we think Endgame needs to succeed, what it needs to do for you personally. Sanj, you want to set us off on this one?
Well, I think for me, it needs to successfully set up what's next. It's a reckoning. It's cleaning the board. So I don't want to see the stories recycled, like to what we've been kind of alluding to here. Like, there's so much going on with Earth. We've seen enough of that. So I want this to be the jumping off point for let's take it out to the stars. Let's go beyond the solar system. Let's go to another galaxy. Let's explore now the Marvel universe. Now that we've established these characters, let's see what's out there.
All right.
And for it to be successful, that's what I need to get out of the ending of it. They're obviously going to tie it together well, the interplay between the characters or whatever. And at the end of it, I don't necessarily want Tony and Cap to be on really good terms either. It can't just smooth itself over just like that. They're going to come together to do what they have to do, but it has to be a tense piece between the two of them.
All right. Reed, what does it need to do for you to be a good movie, to succeed, to be as good as Infinity War or better?
I think that so Thanos by far the most powerful character that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Agreed?
Yep.
Yeah. So having Thanos there is necessary to justify this big battle, this big brawl. But what I really would like to see is an introduction of a storyline, like Sanjay saying, that is going to take you past this, but also not reach for another character of his magnitude necessarily. Like, every character from here on out doesn't need to be Thanos, and trying to recreate this is not important. So I want this to live, become what it is, see this retire, and see it really jump off to something, and start infantile.
Right.
Don't start off with a big bang, or don't think that you have to carry this momentum into something huge again. So that's what I think would make me satisfied at the end of the movie, knowing that, hey, this is done, we're finished, it feels complete, and it feels like we are going to have a new exploration, something that's going to start from scratch, and we don't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. They like to drop these little hints a lot about what's coming next and what's going to happen, and I just don't want to see an attempt at a big bomb at the end of this movie that's going to say, hey, the next movie's going to punch you in the face too. I think that I would be a little disappointed if we had all this build-up. This whole cinematic universe has lasted a decade or so.
Yeah, we're 11 years right now. And
to say, all right, we're going to do the same thing again next year or in a year and a half, I think is just a bit of a stretch. So I just don't want them to try to overreach.
Yeah. Just
let this play out, be organic, and move on from there.
I got you. Al, what about you, man? What do you need this movie to do for you?
Keep everything realistic. Like, you made... How many fight battles did Thanos go through in Infinity War? And I think the most damage he suffered was that little cut from Iron Man.
Yeah.
So, like, if they do finally beat him, it can't be like a simple battle. Like, first of all, like, I want it to be, if he's going to still be the main bad, then have it be like some ultimate final battle. But, not to just, because being that this is it, this is the last movie, don't come with an oversimplified resolution to it.
Right.
Like, okay, that was it? That's all they had to do? Like, make it so that there's sacrifice in this win.
Right.
So like if you're gonna lose, if we're losing Captain America in this movie, have it be that loss was in the battle or part of the battle, like, so you feel like, yo, that win cost us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would like. Like, it's not a simple victory and you know, he just rides off into the sunset, or he gets stuck in his, if they do time loop, he decides to stay in his time or whatever.
Right.
Like, no, there's got to be, I don't want to say the word consequence, but there's got to be a loss in this to offset the win, so to speak, you know, of everybody coming back and everything.
I got you. Brandon, what does it need to do for you?
It just needs to come full circle.
Right.
You know, obviously, these last 4 phases have been culminating to this moment. You know, getting, you know, ending Infinity War with the original Avengers and then some other people, you know, having them have to take on this guy one last time, kind of a thing, how they keep putting the stress, whatever it takes, you know, we have to win. This is all we've got left. This is our one last chance, kind of a thing. I think, you know, the story needs to do is just come full circle, finish it, you know, give me that resolution to this last decade of storytelling. You know, whether you kill someone or you don't, you know, I know someone's got to go, but, you know, whether you do or you don't, as long as I have some kind of finishing, and I don't necessarily need to see a glimpse of what's next. I want this story to finish.
Yeah.
You know, and I want that story to be done, and I want it done well, you know. That's why I've tried to stay away from spoilers and that. I don't want to know anything. I want to go into this with a blank slate.
Right.
And my hoping, and I know that, you know, it's the Russo brothers, that the storytelling there gives me something that, you know, kind of give me that good closure.
Yeah.
And that's really what I want from it.
You know, basically off of what you and Al just said is kind of what I want. And I'm kind of sure I'm gonna get it because again, the Russo brothers are on it. Their 4 movies are Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War.
Yeah.
Great.
And
they haven't missed on anything.
So their directing is doing something. They're using the same writers that they use for all 3 of their movies that they've already made. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a good story. What I want them to do for me is, please do not Transformers the movie this. Do not kill someone off in the first 5 minutes, please. All right, I need my Optimus Prime. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. What I want to see is, like what Al was saying, not consequences so much, but the theme of this whole marketing campaign is whatever it takes. Yeah. Whatever it takes, especially if all the stuff that they did got one scratch on Thanos, means it's gonna be hell to pay to try to take him out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want an easy, simple resolution. I don't want an easy, simple resolution for the snap. I don't want just people to just all come back and everything's hunky-dory and happy. There has to be some losses on this to make us feel the impact of this movie and make us feel the impact of what they've been leading up to. I have no doubts that they're going to do it, but I'm so excited. We got, 3 days now?
3 days.
3 days.
3 days, man. We're going to be in there.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, man. I'm doing whatever it takes to not get spoiled. So, all right, guys. So listen, this was a long podcast. We just want to thank everybody for listening. We are so happy and proud to say that we are now on iTunes. We are on Stitcher. We're on Google Play. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. So you can find us and listen to us anywhere that you have access to one of those platforms there. If you guys want to talk to us or get to us, you can reach us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. You can go to our Instagram, our Facebook, and we always tell you guys you can email us questions, any kind of ideas you guys have for us. We'd love to, explore what the fans out there are thinking. And we just want to thank you for listening as always, and we'll catch you on the next Real Fan Review with an Avengers Endgame review. We'll talk to you guys soon.